Not every piece of history ends up behind glass in a museum or written into a textbook. Are you as obsessed with the unknown as I am? If you are, you've come to the right place. The truth is, archaeologists frequently uncover things so sensitive or incredible that they are deliberately kept hidden from the public eye. If you assume these are just standard, everyday finds, you need to keep watching. We are about to unlock the doors to the most significant forbidden discoveries that simply cannot be ignored. Let's dive deep into the mystery and reveal what's really out there. Number 17, the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, China. Most people know about the terracotta warriors, the thousands of clay soldiers standing guard in China. But they are just the perimeter security. The actual tomb of the first emperor remains completely sealed, and for good reason. It isn't just about preserving history, it is about survival. Ancient records claim the emperor was buried with rivers of flowing liquid mercury to simulate the cosmos. And modern soil samples have confirmed terrifyingly high levels of mercury contamination in the area. Archaeologists are terrified to open it, not only because exposing the artifacts to air could instantly destroy them, as happened with the warriors' paint, but because the tomb itself is a toxic hazard. We have the technology to enter, but we lack the technology to do it safely. So the emperor sleeps undisturbed, surrounded by a deadly chemical moat that has kept the curious away for over 2,000 years. Number 16, the Great Pyramid's secret voids, Egypt. This discovery still feels like science fiction. The Great Pyramid of Giza has been analyzed for centuries, measured, mapped, and photographed from every conceivable angle. But then, modern technology completely upended the narrative. Using advanced muon radiography, scientists identified a massive void deep within the pyramid's core. We aren't talking about a crack or a small construction gap. This is a colossal internal chamber. It is one of the most significant structural finds in this monument in over a century. But here is the part that truly boggles the mind. Nobody has gone inside. No drill has pierced the wall, no fiber optic camera has peeked through. We know the void exists, yet it remains physically untouched. Its dimensions, its function, and whatever lies within are total mysteries. In a monument we thought we understood perfectly, a massive secret chamber sits in absolute silence. Number 15, Lascaux Cave, France. Imagine being a teenager, stumbling into a hole in the ground, and accidentally finding one of the greatest artistic masterpieces in human history. That is the story of Lascaux, discovered in 1940. Inside, the limestone walls were alive with breathtaking Paleolithic paintings, images that would quickly become the face of prehistoric art. However, fame was a curse. As tourists flooded in, their breath brought moisture, carbon dioxide, and microbes that began to eat away at the paintings. By 1963, authorities made the tough call to permanently seal the original cave to prevent its destruction. Since then, the real Lascaux has remained in total darkness, strictly off-limits. What millions see today are replicas. Sites like Lascaux 2 and Ivy offer a precise copy of the experience, but the authentic masterpieces remain locked away, safe from human contact. Number 14, Altamira Cave Paintings, Spain. This site didn't shut down all at once. The closing of Altamira happened in agonizing stages behind locked gates. Every new restriction was a response to a new threat. Over the years, the body heat, moisture, and artificial lighting from visitors began to destabilize the cave's delicate microclimate. The ancient art reacted in a terrifying way. Green mold began to bloom across the prehistoric surfaces. By 2002, the damage was undeniable, and officials closed the cavern to the public to halt the biological attack. Since that day, access to the original polychrome ceiling has been essentially forbidden. Instead of entering the actual site, tourists are routed to the Neo-Cave Museum, a high-fidelity reconstruction. It wasn't built for show, it was built because the real Altamira could not survive us. The art survives, but only behind strict climate control and scientific quarantine. Number 13, the hidden chambers of King Tut's tomb. You would assume we had found everything in King Tutankhamun's tomb by now. You'd be wrong. High-tech radar scans conducted inside his burial chamber in the Valley of the Kings have picked up something disturbing. The data suggests the existence of sealed voids behind the famous painted walls. These are spaces that do not fit the known blueprints. spaces that no living person has entered. These anomalies have never been physically breached. There has been no drilling, no robotic exploration, and no definitive answer. Just ghostly radar signatures and theories. Whatever lies behind those 3,000-year-old stones has been sealed since the day the king was buried. They could be treasure rooms, ritual spaces, or empty pockets. But until we cross that threshold, one of the world's most famous tombs is hiding a secret room we have never stepped foot in. Number 12, the Dead Sea Scrolls. Some secrets aren't hidden by rocks, they are hidden by people. Between 1946 and 1956, desert caves near Qumran produced one of the most explosive archaeological finds ever. The Dead Sea Scrolls. These thousands of fragments revolutionized our grasp of religious history. But after they were pulled from the caves, things got weird. For decades, a tiny exclusive clique of scholars hoarded the scrolls. Qualified academics were refused access. Even photographs of the texts were kept secret. This academic monopoly sparked a massive international scandal as years rolled by with no publication. It wasn't until the early 1990s that the dam finally broke. Archives were opened, and the texts were finally released. The real shock wasn't just the content of the scrolls, but the fact that they had been held hostage for so long, sealed in academic secrecy rather than shared with the world. Number 11, the Cave of Horror. This isn't a tourist destination. Just getting to the Cave of Horror involves rappelling down sheer cliffs in blistering heat before you even find history. The cave earned its grim name in the 1960s when explorers found ancient skeletons inside. But in 2021, it made headlines again for a different breakthrough. Authorities announced the recovery of new biblical scroll fragments from this brutal environment. Every mission here is treated less like a dig and more like a tactical rescue operation. The terrain is deadly, the cliffs are unstable, and looters are constantly trying to get there first. That is why these desert operations are conducted under tight secrecy regarding location and timing. Archaeologists aren't just studying the past here. They are in a race against time, trying to save history before thieves or the elements destroy it forever. Number 10, Cleopatra's tomb. Let me be real with you. How does the most famous woman in antiquity just disappear? Cleopatra VII was the last active ruler of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt. Her life, politics, and romance with Mark Antony are legendary. Yet when it comes to her grave, history goes silent. Despite centuries of hunting, no archaeologist has confirmed the final resting place of Cleopatra or Antony. We haven't found a tomb, a sealed door, or even a verified marker. All we have are fragments of ancient texts and submerged ruins off the coast. No full-scale excavation has ever publicly claimed to find her body. That void is what keeps the mystery burning. One of the most documented humans to ever live left a trail that ends abruptly at her death, turning her tomb into the ultimate cold case of the ancient world. Number 9, Chauvet Cave, France. You know that sensation when something is so perfect it feels untouchable? That is the vibe of Chauvet. Located in southern France, this cave was unknown to science until December 1994, when 3 spelunkers uncovered what is arguably the most significant prehistoric art site ever found. The walls were decorated with lions, rhinos, and horses, rendered with a skill and movement that shocked experts. And almost the moment it was found, it was locked down. Authorities sealed it immediately, knowing that human breath and bacteria would destroy the pristine art. The real cave has been a fortress ever since. To satisfy the public, France built the Caverne du Pont d'Arc in 2015, a massive replica. It allows you to witness the genius of Chauvet without ever endangering the fragile reality hidden nearby. Number 8, the Chapel of the Tablet, Ethiopia. This is perhaps the most fiercely guarded object on the planet. In the town of Aksum, inside a small, unassuming chapel, rests what the Ethiopian Orthodox Church claims is the actual Ark of the Covenant, the biblical vessel holding the 10 Commandments. But don't expect to verify that. This isn't a museum piece, it is a holy relic under total lockdown. Only one man, a specially appointed guardian monk, is allowed to see it. He cannot leave the chapel grounds, and he guards the Ark until he dies and is replaced by another. No historian, No archaeologist and no politician is granted access. Even during World War II and civil conflicts, the Ark remained hidden. It is the ultimate archaeological cold case, an object that defined ancient history, sitting potentially just a few feet away from the outside world, yet completely invisible to modern science. Number 7, Zawiat el-Aryan. This is where archaeology hits a brick wall. South of Giza sits Zawiat el-Aryan, a mysterious pyramid complex that most people have never heard of. It's not obscure because it's unimportant. It's obscure because it's forbidden. Since 1964, the entire area has been inside a restricted military zone. This designation has effectively killed any comprehensive study. Archaeologists cannot excavate freely, and tourists certainly can't visit. What we know comes from a few old, grainy photographs showing massive limestone blocks and subterranean trenches. What else is buried under that sand is a complete unknown. The extent of the complex and any artifacts it holds remain undocumented and off-limits to international science. It is one of the rare ancient sites where the mystery isn't the age, it is the modern security clearance. Number 6, Plymouth Bone Caves, UK. Here is something people walk over every day without a clue of what lies beneath. Under the pavement of Plymouth, England, lies a network of caves packed with fossils of Ice Age animals and early humans. These aren't commercial show caves. Many are sealed, hidden, or structurally unsound. To stop looting and vandalism, the exact entrances are deliberately kept off the map. Access is denied to urban explorers and the general public, granted only to select scientific teams. The objective isn't to be mysterious, it's preservation. The fossils are delicate, and their placement tells a story that looting would destroy. So, while the city bustles above, a prehistoric graveyard sits silently below, protected by obscurity and locked gates. Number 5. Cosquer Cave, France. Imagine finding a painted cave, only to realize the ocean is swallowing it. That is the tragedy of Cosquer. Located on the French Mediterranean coast, the entrance to this prehistoric site is underwater, a victim of rising sea levels since the Ice Age. Because it is so dangerous and fragile, the original cave is strictly closed and monitored. The paintings that remain above water are at constant risk. The environment is hostile. That is why the public will likely never set foot in the real Cosquer. The experience has moved to dry land. In 2022, Marseille unveiled a high-tech replica, allowing visitors to see the art without diving gear. This replica isn't a theme park attraction, it's a lifeboat. It exists because the real cave is inaccessible and dying. The history is still there, but it survives only through strict protection, not tourism. Number 4. Zagra Stone Circle, Malta. On the island of Gozo, the dead aren't resting easily. At Zagra, excavations in the late 20th century revealed a Neolithic underground burial complex that stunned researchers. Beneath the soil lay the commingled bones of thousands of ancestors, mixed with ritual statues and artifacts. The sheer scale was overwhelming, but the site's condition raised immediate red flags. The structure was collapsing, and the environment was too sensitive to remain open. The risk of damage and interference forced the government to restrict access. Today, the Zagra Circle is largely closed to the public. Sections remain unexcavated under protective shelters, preserved for the future rather than rushed. Access is tightly controlled, not to hide the truth, but to prevent the site from falling apart. What you can see is minimal. The rest waits in the dark, guarded by safety barriers. Number 3, Matiate Underground City. Sometimes a city doesn't grow up, it goes down. Beneath the historic district of Midyat, Turkey, workers in 2020 punched through a wall and found a world that shouldn't have been there. They uncovered Matiate, a colossal underground metropolis of tunnels, silos, and altars. Estimates indicate it covers immense acreage, potentially making it the largest subterranean city ever found. Yet almost all of it is invisible. Only a tiny fraction, maybe 3 to 7%, has been cleared. The rest is sealed, not by conspiracy, but by caution. Archaeologists are moving slowly, opening sections phase by phase under strict oversight. The vast majority of the tunnels are unexplored and untouched. The discovery in 2020 wasn't the end of the story. It was barely the prologue. Number 2, the Tillya Tepe gold. For years, one of the most valuable archaeological collections on the planet wasn't in a display case. It was missing. The Bactrian gold of Tillya Tepe, a hoard of 20,000 gold ornaments, was thought to be lost during the chaos of the Afghan civil wars in the 90s. In reality, it had been secretly locked in a vault beneath the presidential palace in Kabul. The secrecy was so intense that the key holders didn't even know who the others were. The treasure only resurfaced when the vault was finally opened, proving the gold had survived decades of conflict. The world was stunned, not just by the gold, but by the fact that it had been hiding in plain sight, deliberately erased from public memory to keep it safe. Few archaeological tales involve bank vaults and secret codes, but this one does, making it one of the greatest acts of preservation in history. Number 1. Hidden Roman hoards. This story doesn't begin with a university dig. It begins with silence. In the German state of Lower Saxony, a massive Roman-era treasure, hundreds of silver coins and gold artifacts, was dug up by an illegal metal detectorist. Instead of reporting it, he took it home. For 8 long years, this discovery simply didn't exist to the outside world. No museum knew about it, no historian could study it. History had been stolen. When authorities finally seized the hoard, the shock wasn't just the value of the gold, but the time lost. That gap meant the context of the burial was destroyed, and questions would remain forever unanswered. The objects were saved, but the story was fractured. It serves as a harsh reminder that some of the biggest finds aren't hidden by governments or deserts, but by the people who find them first and choose to say nothing. History clearly has more locked doors than open windows, and some of those locks may never be broken. If these forbidden discoveries sparked your curiosity, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe to Signal 49 for more deep dives into hidden history, and let me know your theories in the comments. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.